You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
15.6 million acres. That's a little less than 1/3 of the entire state of Uttar Pradesh, and that's the size of the Australian bushfires currently spreading around the country. The immediate impact? Well, more than 2,000 homes destroyed, at least 28 people dead, and a rough estimation of 1 billion animals consumed in fires. If that was bad news, here's the worst one. This fire that has been raging since September 2019 is not even close to being doused yet, so all these numbers are expected to rise as well. You're listening to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the biggest story of the day for you, and I'm Shorburi. If you like listening to The Big Story, subscribe to our playlists on Apple, Google Podcasts, JioSaavn, Spotify, and the other popular podcast streaming platforms that we're live on right now. You can find all the links to our playlists on our show notes. The subscriptions are absolutely for free, so please subscribe. Now, back to the forest fires for this episode. There's not one but many crises at hand currently. We've been covering India's ongoing crisis regarding the Citizenship Act. We've also been talking about the alarming law and order situation, the police brutality on protesters, the Kashmir lockdown. But simultaneously, there's also an environmental crisis at large. And the Australian bushfires are only a symptom of the larger problem. Addressing climate change is getting more urgent with every passing day, and even saying that is an understatement. 2019 was a year of severe rainfalls in some areas in India or none at all in others. The overpriced onions that you see in the markets right now is because of climate change. Chennai has been battling one of the worst water crises in years. Kashmir not only has internet shutdowns and restrictions on people's movements, but the saffron trade, which Kashmir is known for, has been estimated to incur a loss of roughly rupees 20 crores because of erratic rains and untimely snowfall. And that data is from the People's Rural Archive. And I can keep on listing out the several effects of climate change in India, from cyclones to rainfall to crop damage. But let me just give you this one data point and I will have made my point fairly well. According to the Global Climate Risk Index of 2020, India's economic losses due to climate change is roughly rupees 2.7 lakh crores or $37 billion. That's the second highest in the world. And as a report by India Spend puts it, this figure is nearly as high as India's defense budget, which, as we know, is one of the sectors that the government spends the most on. And on top of that, there are forest fires of our own. Not as damaging like the ones in Australia or Brazil, but damaging in smaller doses nonetheless. For instance, in 2019, the Bandipur National Park in Karnataka, that is a home to bisons, elephants, tigers, etc., suddenly caught fire due to dryness. In a matter of just 5 days, at least 20,000 acres of forest land was destroyed. And with a shrinking forest reserve, every acre of forested land counts.
Want to hear the rest of this podcast? Check out the link to the full episode in the description below and follow The Quint on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, JioSaavn, and all other platforms we are on.